Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast. A very warm welcome to you all this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. It is hugely appreciated. It is wonderful to see so many of you all already in the live chat. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday with us, channel members, and especially warm welcome to you. But everyone in the live chat this evening, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us. And it is, of course, our post-Blackpool show. Yeah, the wait for victory at Bloomfield continues. Unfortunately for Wanderers, another 1-1 draw was the result. The performance slightly better, I suppose, than recent weeks. Mason Burstow, of course, managed to salvage a point in the 62nd minute, bagging his third of the season after the deadlock was broken. Just 15 minutes in, completely against the run of play. But that seems to be a common theme for the Wanderers so far this season. We won't wait too long before we get stuck into our post-match reactions. But of course, as we go through this evening's episode, get your comments in, and we will pull some up on screen. We'll have a little chat about them. Of course, this show is nothing without all of you lovely folks who tune in every single week. So do make sure to get your say in the chat, and we'll have a little chat about them. But we'll dive into our first segment, which is, of course, post-match reactions. We will be going through and starring some of your comments as well for later in the episode, which of course will be fan focus. So if you've got any burning questions that you would like us to answer in this evening's episode, then make sure to drop them in the chat, and we will we'll pop a star next to those and try and get through as many as we can towards the end of the episode. But Ben, since as you are the star of this section's mid-roll, makes sense to hand over to you first. I want to just give you some of Schumacher's post-match comments. Talking about, in this incident, Gale and the offside decision. And he said the frustrating thing is that Gale shouldn't be there. And I couldn't help but feel, whilst watching some of that Blackpool performance and listening to Schumacher in his post-match interview, there does seem a little bit of rawness still about our play, a little bit of rawness that also almost comes across as naivety, whether it be decision-making, deciding when to shoot, a general sloppiness in possession sometimes. It does feel like that is a little bit of a problem for the Wanderers. Would you tend to agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a whole new team, basically. I know this will only be an excuse for, probably the first 10 or 12 games. I am aware in game 6 now, it's time to start gelling, really. But I mean, there is a lot of getting used to each other, a lot of getting used to the system. Yesterday as a whole was just another game where it's heavily frustrating. We came out of the blocks pretty fast, started pretty well, and then their first attack, Johnston gets skinned, and then it's a speculative, a half chance on the edge of the box. It gets deflected off Toll, then the post, then the keeper, and then in the back of the net. And you're thinking, yet again, we're thinking, how the hell are we behind? And then, the rest of the first half was pretty frustrating. As Schumacher alluded to, it's 10 men behind the ball, and a lot of teams found that tough to break down, and we absolutely found it tough to break down. Wasn't until sort of the second half and we saw us change shape a bit. He put two up front, and we looked a little bit more dangerous. Even still, kind of struggle to create proper big chances. I know we had 17 shots yesterday. I must admit, when I looked after the game, I was a little bit surprised that we had that many shots, because I can't remember that too many proper chances that we had. But yeah, it's kind of another one where we've dominated the large parts of the game. They've basically done nothing. I must admit, what my main takeaway from the game yesterday was, I'm embarrassed that I put Blackpool in my top 6, because they were pretty terrible, to be honest. I mean, I think it was 27% possession they had in the end in a a derby game, if you like to call that, at home. Yeah, it's pretty rough. But yeah, we just really struggled to break them down. It took a deflection off a couple of players to get Burstow a chance, 10 yards out that he buried. But after that, I mean, I don't remember too many chances we had. Obviously, it was the corner that got disallowed. Rightly so, annoyingly. Gale was stood in front of the keeper. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like we're finding unbelievably unlucky ways to concede goals early on in games, and then that just sets us on the path of trying to break down 10 men for the rest of the game, which is pretty tough to do. But yeah, if we can just stop, it feels like we've been saying it forever, we can just stop conceding that first goal, I think we'll be all right. But yeah, it's frustrating.
Indeed, yeah. Football is a game of fine margins, and it feels like we've been on the sort of the receiving end of a few unlucky situations. But that being said, we are becoming the creators of our own downfalls in a lot of games. Yes, there are still that come into play. I think the effort from that Sharman Lowe, it came off him. It is unlucky. It's those you will probably only see 2 of those in a season. And it just feels like at this stage in the season, it feels like they're just coming out more than we would expect them to. But those fine margins are what win you football matches. Unfortunately, we've just not been able to do that. And you mentioned there specifically the chances thing. You know, we had a lot of shots that game, but it's very, very difficult to cast your mind back and think, should have been doing better there, should have been beating the keeper, because there weren't many big chances created. And it's all well and good having lots of shots and you know, working the ball into the final third. But if your shots are wayward and you're not having clear-cut chances, it makes it really, really difficult to give you a good shot and a fair crack at winning games. One of the comments that we've had in the chat this evening was from Dan. And he said, both us and Blackpool have loads of new players to bed in. I'd much rather be reflecting on these first 6 games as a Bolton fan than Blackpool. It'll click soon, no doubt, for me. And that is one of the things that I wanted to address. In Steve Bruce's post-match interview, he said that Bolton and Blackpool are in a similar situation. Our squad from last season looks almost unrecognisable. And it's set to be welcomed with even more additions. Cole, what's the sort of... where do you sit in this camp? Because obviously you look at Blackpool, one win in 5, one draw in 5. We are picking up points, albeit the results and the performance is frustrating. Are you sort of erring on the side of optimism in terms of it's a process, and if we keep on the way that we are, eventually we'll come good? Or are you starting to ask questions?
First of all, good evening, everybody. Good evening to our little chat show, as I got referred to it as earlier on X. Gentleman by the name of Dunk, which I thought was rather amusing. So, special good evening to Dunk. Welcome to our little chat show. Listen, I think I am pretty glass half full as far as this season's concerned so far. I'm seeing shoots of improvement, certainly from last season, and I wouldn't have thought that last season's team would have probably even picked up a point yesterday at Blackpool, given the circumstances, when we would have likely dominated the game last season, but I don't think we would have had the grit to see the game out and get a point at least. So that's a positive. I think there's just too much of a reliance on Cozy Dewberry and the wingers, and just the attacking kind of final third is new across the board, isn't it, really? And there's a lot of emphasis on them to kind of get goals and create chances when, you know, clearly they're going to take a little bit of time to get their act together. It's not ideal. at all. But I'm certainly more optimistic than I certainly would have been kind of this time last season, if I'm honest.
Absolutely. Something else Schumacher said in his post-match thoughts. Obviously, 1 win in 6, we're 14th in the table, and he referenced the need for some better decision making. He referenced sort of Amario and sometimes his decisions to either shoot, carry the ball, pass, and sometimes getting a bit mixed up in what those look like. And there's some individuals. I noticed there was I'm not a proportion in blame whatsoever, and I'm very reluctant to come down on this player in particular too harsh, because I think he's been excellent this season. But Max Conway was under a little bit of pressure in the defensive third, and he's given the ball away twice really cheaply. He's just sort of kicked it to nobody, and it's fell into the path of Blackpool players. And it's sort of those individual sort of decisions that seem to be causing us a little bit of grief. But and Ben, I'll pass this one over to you. From where I'm sat, I think the way that we're playing, I don't think we can really question too much about the desire or commitment or the squad wanting to win. And it feels like decision making is far more, coachable, if you will, than creating that many chances and limiting the opposition to such few chances, especially on a consistent basis. So are you taking from these performances and the fact that we are sort of controlling games in large parts, are you taking that as a positive, knowing that it's far easier to tell players or show players how to hit the back of the net than it is to transform a performance?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be much more worried. I mean, we talk about our last 4 games, we've drawn them all, 1-1, hence the title for today. Every single one of them games, we've looked the more threatening team for a large majority of the game. I'd be much more worried if we were kind of under the cosh for most of the game and we kind of nicked a point. And although a point's a point, it doesn't matter how you get it, I'd be a lot more worried about the performance if, say, we were Blackpool yesterday and we were 1-0 up through an own goal and kind of hung on to a point by the end of the match at home to home to them. Say if it was the other way around, I'd be a lot more worried with the performance there. But I mean, it seems like every game we're creating more chances. As you say, the decision making is not quite there. And as much as I love Mario, and as I mentioned the other week, he's one of the most talented players in the league, one of the most talented players we've had at this club for a long time. The whole package isn't quite there because, as someone's mentioned in the chat, he's getting doubled up on. And also his decision making at times, he looks to cut in and shoot pretty much all the time, rather than sometimes he should go down the line and look to get across into the box, especially when we've got Burstow in the box, and then second half we had Burstow and Dolby up front. I think that.
Sorry, Ben, just to interject a little bit there, mate. You're absolutely right with Cozy Dewberry. I think there is an element of decision making isn't quite on point. Clearly, technically, is well good enough for this level. I guess in many ways that's possibly the reason why he's playing in League One. I don't know. I didn't see him at Blackburn last season, but I think you might find as and when we do bring maybe a more mobile attacker from a more clever movement and whatnot in the final third, you might see him kind of making certain passes that he might not be making now and whatnot, and movements, because it's quite, as well as Mason Burstow's playing, he isn't the most kind of mobile kind of forward. I don't think we've got that yet in terms of that clever Adam Lafondra type movement, you might want to say. I think we'll probably see him come into his own a little bit when we do find a player that's got that kind of ability. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we've been heavily linked to the past 24 hours with Marcus Force, haven't we? On loan from Borough, and I've got a Borough mate who says he should be a pretty good player in League One level. They said he especially pointed out his movement and his finishing. So, look, I mean, if a different type of striker is the guy that can kind of unlock.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, unlock Cozy Dewberry's creativity, and I mean. The 2 or 3 times Cozy Dewberry has gone down the line and crossed it, and he's created goals. I mean, firstly against Plymouth when he cut it back for Burstow, and then again for Reading, and again the last-minute goal last week. He went down the line, it's a ball flashed across the box. To be honest, what I want to see more of, and I mentioned in the chat last night, I think it was, is our fullbacks helping out our wingers, because, as I say, with Cozy Dewberry, when he's got two men on him, that opens up space somewhere else. We've got a numerical advantage somewhere else. So it's either on the opposite wing or for our right back to overlap him. And I feel like Dacres Colga did that, I think, once yesterday, and we got a decent chance from it. Conway seems to do it kind of, what's the word? I mean, like semi-regularly.
Sporadically.
To overlap and sporadically. Yeah, that's seems to overlap and put decent balls into the box. But when we're more unpredictable out wide, we're not looking to cut in every time. Then I mean, it brings the forward plays into the box into play, and hopefully makes us a bit more unpredictable.
Indeed, I think the thing that's ringing true here for me, and what I've seen in the comments from a couple of people who've mentioned something, is that we're not at dire straits just yet. Yes, things are frustrating, and it's annoying when you go to a football match and you perform the way that you do, and you still come away feeling like you've missed out. But we aren't in dire straits. Dan mentioned it before about rather being in our shoes than those down in Blackpool, and being in a similar situation in terms of new signings coming through the door. And I think it's important to remember that we are still early in the process. Things haven't been awful, which is reassuring that things are probably likely going to get better before they get worse.
I think the one thing that we need to kind of hang our hats on to an extent is the fact that we seem to be signing players from a higher level in terms of ability, play at a higher level. We aren't signing League One players. It might not feel like it at the moment, but these players will kind of come good at this level. We just need to be a little bit patient. And I think, to be fair, in the most part, I think we are being, in fairness. Mm.
Absolutely. And what we've seen on numerous occasions, I was going to leave this until fan focus, but it feels like the right time to sort of bring it up now. Leslie put a comment in the chat. How long do we keep saying we have a load of new players that need to get till blinking Christmas? And we have seen that January revival from a lot of Bolton teams this season. And if you look back at those seasons, 9 times out of 10, it's because we've had to have a massive overhaul in the summer because the squad hasn't been good enough. And when you are on the back of especially managerial changes, but seasons and performances across a season where you're underachieving and you aren't hitting the targets, ultimately you're going to need a big rebuild, and you're going to need to shift a lot of players out the door and bring a lot of new players in, not only to change the culture, but to change the way that you play and to bring in a little bit more quality. To expect that to just click in the case of, 6 games into the season is probably a little bit unreasonable, which is why we've seen that push in January many times, because it takes that long to get them to where they need to be.
But at the same time, I get it. We are waiting for them to kind of find their feet, but they need to pull the finger out sooner rather than later, because obviously we're 6 games in now, aren't we? And by the time we know it, we'll be, adrift of the top 2, which in my mind is where we should be, in all honesty, with the players that we're signing or have signed already. So they need to start gelling sooner rather than later, Ben.
They do indeed, yeah. 10 games is sort of like the magic number. Once you get to 10 games, you start looking at the table and thinking, okay, it's starting to take shape. And January feels like the next natural. Christmas is the next natural benchmark after that. And so I think if we're sat here having the exact same conversations about individual decision-making being poor, chances being wasted, and the overall feeling coming away from games being frustration, then we'll start to have a different conversation.
I think it's a real benefit that we're playing Wimbledon on Saturday, if I'm honest. I think we need to play them. I think we need to get points on the board. I think we need to be in a better position as soon as possible, to be honest. So I'm definitely not complaining about that fixture going ahead, even without Josh Sheehan and Owen Toll.
Yeah, just on that, I think it's about... I think the last few years having international games called off has kind of done us over a bit. We've kind of gone into the last third of the season, it's all right, we've got a few games in hand, and then they all pile up at once, and we get injuries and they don't quite go our way, and it doesn't always come as a as a benefit to have games in hand. I would rather, like you said, we might be missing a couple of the players. It's going to be Sheehan and Toll really from the main group.
Well, that's it. That's it. Just them two. We can cope with them two.
Exactly. We've got a squad good enough, especially. No disrespect. I mean, he started the season all right, Wimbledon, but if a home game against Wimbledon, we should be good enough to beat them without Sheehan and Toll. So I would 100% rather the game go ahead. And I think the next three are big. I mean, said Wimbledon at home, Leyton Orient away, and Wigan at home. Wigan at home, whatever. We always don't turn up against them, but hopefully this is a different type of team. Obviously, the Schumacher we went there and won last season, so hopefully that's kind of broke the voodoo against them. But at the end of the day, they're a mid-table team. So I mean, Wimbledon-ish, newly promoted, had a decent start. Orient have struggled a little bit. That to me, they're the three games where we look there. After
listen to the teams that we're talking about having to beat here. It's absolutely ludicrous. I'm sorry, it's ludicrous.
What do you mean? Well, I'm saying the games you have to win.
We should be turning all these teams over, to be fair, shouldn't we? Certainly sooner.
Yeah, we should be. That's what I'm saying. These end of. I mean, we should be minimum 7 points in them 3 games, and then we see where we are after. I mean, I remember saying a couple of weeks ago, I think it was after the Reading game, where it was a couple of games where it was frustrating we didn't win, and I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of content with saying that now. But if we're there after 10 or 12 games, still saying, "Oh, we're frustrated and we're not taking our chances and we're conceding silly goals," if we're still there after 12 games and still mid-table, then you start to worry. But I mean, we're halfway there so far. I mean, I think it'll click.
Absolutely, and I mean, everyone looked at these fixtures at the start of the season and said, "We're in for a tough start, and we've got a tough end to the season." I think the fact that we've ridden this wave and we're coming away from games feeling frustrated because we've deserved more overall is a positive sign. If we were at this point in the season and the games that had question marks over them, your Barnsley away, your Blackpool away, which we've been notoriously, miserable in, if we'd have come away from those absolutely being turned over, we'd have been like...
You're absolutely right. And that's why I said before what I said about, I don't think we'd have won that game last season.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'd have got a point away at Barnsley, even with them having 10 men either, because of the way that game were being played out. So there are definitely positives. Yeah,
absolutely. And speaking of positives, it makes sense now. We've had a healthy discussion about that fixture, but let's round it off with a Fanzone man of the match, if I can find the mid-roll.
Leave it to the professionals next time, Ben.
Yeah, clearly. Can't. There is no Fanzone man of the match mid-roll in here.
This is the beauty of doing things live, eh?
Yeah.
Colin, just sing here we go. This evening's episode is sponsored by the one and only Loving My Socials. And we absolutely love Loving My Socials, so much so that at the start of this season, we just couldn't resist putting together a few jingles.
You've heard it,
introducing Fanzone. For those of you who haven't heard it, I'm about to bless your eardrums.
Just play it. Spit it out. Just play it.
Fanzone man of the match. Tied in with something special.
Yeah. Loving my socials. Ooh. Loving my socials. Ooh.
So it is, of course, time for your Fanzone man of the match. Ooh. And Colin, let's hand over to you first. Who are you nominating?
I don't know actually. Put me on the spot. I've had a lot to think about this. Mason Burstall played very well again. I'll be honest with you. He's becoming a bit of a nuisance for the opposition, and he's been able to find the net semi-regularly, and I think he'd be pretty proud of his start so far in a Bolton shirt. Again, like I say, he led the line very well yesterday. I'm going to go man of the match, Josh Deckers-Cogley. I thought he put in a pretty solid performance at right back. I know he didn't kind of like maybe bomb on as much as Ben would have hoped in that right back slot, but I think he did yesterday everything you'd hope from a right back in the most part from a defensive perspective, and I think he gets a lot of stick, some necessary, some unnecessary. I think he's a little bit of a scapegoat, to be fair, but sometimes when a player is that scapegoat and they do play quite well, they do deserve a little bit of a tap on the back from the fans, and I think he deserved it yesterday. He played pretty well, to be fair.
Yeah, all fair points. And there's been a comment in the chat from Liam who said Cogs has really impressed me. I'm assuming he means for that match. I'm not sure whether that's in reference to the whole season so far. But Ben, who gets your man of the match?
Yeah, tough one, really. I don't think anyone individually stood out that much. I mean, it was a frustrating performance. Even though we dominated in large, I would probably say, just because he's handling the goal, I'd say Max Conway, just because, I mean, he feels like a constant threat down the left-hand side. I mean, he feels like a new marquee signing, really, that we've just kind of, we've just got back off loan from Crewe. Good little touch to get away from George Onyman for the goal, played it into Gale, created a bit of space for him. It was between him and sort of Mason Burstow. Mason Burstow worked his socks off again up front, and obviously when the chance came, he buried it. I mean, it's a tough one this week. I mean, quite a bit of love for Simons in the chat, who I was a bit surprised didn't start the game, who then came on and kind of showed why, in my opinion, he should be in the lineup every week, and obviously nearly got that winning goal, which was chalked off, unfortunately, correct. But yeah, for me, probably just Max Conway, just edged it.
Yep, I would probably tend to agree. I came into the show thinking that Burstow would be my man of the match, but upon reflection, I think Conway probably deserves it. I was impressed with it's funny. He won a lot of fouls, and he seemed to frustrate the opposition, and they were left with not many options other than to foul him. But I thought he reacted to those fouls really well. He didn't spend ages rolling around on the floor. He was quick back up on his feet, and it felt a little bit old school. And actually, there was a clip of him, and I saw him pulling his socks up, and his socks were right up to his knees, just underneath his shorts. And I thought to myself, if anyone was pleased by this, it would be Colin Yates.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I like that old school mentality, but if he's going to forge a career this day and age, he'll need to learn not to do that as well at the same time, not to be as honest.
Yes.
It's good. I like the way he is. I like him as a fullback. I absolutely agree. He played really well yesterday, but he's still learning as well. And I think we all got to remember that, whether it be that type of scenario that I'm trying to paint now or just his general play, you can tell he is as good and as raw as he is. He's still learning his game. Sorry, Ben.
No, you're right, and that's what I was going to finish off on. You can tell he's still learning his trade, and like I mentioned before, there are those instances where he gave the ball away in the defensive third twice, which I think just comes from that naivety, perhaps that still a young lad, and still he's not played an awful lot of football today at this kind of level.
I got to say though, with him, I think I know which situations you're talking about. I think he tried a few switches of play and stuff, and he didn't quite find the pass, and there was a few kind of short passes that he didn't find a man either. It might even be a situation where he's actually maybe thinking ahead of the players around him to an extent, and he actually expected the players to be in the positions that he's playing the passes and they're not for whatever reason. Only time will tell how good that kid's going to be. But you see a lot of the way he plays the game that is a little bit more advanced for this level.
Yes.
So yes, again, I've interrupted you again.
It's okay. That's okay. You're absolutely right. And yeah, that's not much left for me to say. There's been a couple of votes in the chat as well for Conway. So I think your overall winner is Max Conway for I think the second time this season. So Max, you're obviously watching the podcast because who doesn't? So congratulations, my friend. We'll hand over now to your resident stat man, who I'm sure will be in much better spirits this week than he was last time out. It is the Gaffer's Notebook.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Get Stats On with the Statman himself. Of course, today we're reviewing another disappointing result, this time against Steve Bruce's Blackpool. Now, 4th 1-1 draw in a row. And if we're being honest, it's the same problems again, innit? It's the same issues week after week after week after week after week. You get the point. Can't break down a low block to save your skin. And that is becoming quite an issue because every team in the division seems to realise that. So they just sit off you and hit you on the break. And anyway, yeah, the main thing is you just can't break them down. So if you look at the shot map, which should be on the screen now, these are the locations of all your shots from the game. Almost all of your shots are from outside the box, are they not? And that is purely because you're trying to break them down, you've got them pinned in, and then one player just thinks, oh, screw it, this ain't working, let me just have a dig. And sometimes having a dig does work, but it didn't, did it? Let's be fair. So anyway, yeah, just one more thing. Before we go to the tactics board, Mason Burstow, I'm a big fan. And I don't say that lightly, because I don't do it. But yeah, he only scores goals because he graphs. Like, you don't break oppositions down. So he's just stood in the middle waiting for blooming God knows what to happen. But he still finds himself on the score sheet quite regularly because he's a grafter. He gets on the end of loose balls. He is thinking one step ahead of the defence. And he is what you need in your team right now, to be honest. Maybe you won't be the man when you figure out how to break down low block. But while you can, he is definitely the right man to be playing. Anyway, let's go to tactics board, shall we? I've started recording it a little bit late, so hopefully it'll be on your screen now. And what you're going to see here is your average positions from the game, right? I've not put theirs in, but I think you can agree they were in a 4-4-2 block for most of the game. So I think the first interesting thing is Morley is the highest player out of everybody, right? Because he clearly pushed forward into the right half space, which I was talking about on the last one. But the only issue was there wasn't really anyone over here, as you can see by the average position. Now, Conway did get forward, but not in the way I would have him being used. And we'll come on to that in a little bit, don't you worry. But yeah, the problem is, right, wow, I don't know what happened to my voice then. When they're sat off like this, and let's be fair, for most of the game, it was looking a little something like this, wasn't it? You're absolutely dominating them, and you got them pinned in. And Cogley even got forward quite a lot of the time. But when you get in these areas, I wish I could give someone a football, but I can't. So let's say Kozia Dubry is on ball. There's absolutely no movement from anybody. Everybody is just stood still in the same box like this. Nobody's moving. If you're lucky, Cogley might offer something. But when the ball goes wide, the man in the half space, i.e. Morley, Randall, whoever's in the 10, Conway sometimes, Sissoko sometimes, they need to be making one of two runs, right? That one or that one. Simple. If he makes the first run that way, then the Blackpool defender either has to follow him, leave a load of space in the middle, or this guy can follow him, leave a load of space for Kozia Dubry. This guy can follow him, leave a load of space here. You know what I mean? There is always going to be some space if there is movement. But has there been ever any movement? Has there buggery? You know what I mean? It's the same thing on the other side. Sissoko gets the ball. If Conway's here, he should be making this run or this run. Give the defence something to think about. There's no point standing still. And it's not the reason you can't break them down. But it's blooming part of it, I'll tell you that for free. And yeah, so I thought the role Morley was playing was interesting. It's good to see him. Good to see someone's listening to me at Bolton, let's put it that way. Because Morley was in this area and he was in this area a lot. But the problem is, You still need someone on this side. Just because you've got someone over here doesn't mean you can forget about the other space. So what I'm suggesting is if you don't want... Oh, way up. If you don't want to put Conway up it, which is fair enough, that is pretty ballsy. Why not? Because we've just seen he can do it. Let's take Big Eve out for a second and let's put Randall back in. Okay? Put Randall there, Sheehan there, Morley there. And then when you're defending, you can still play the same shape that you have been, 4-4-2. There you go. Simple as. Randall's playing as a 10, Morley's playing as an 8, which he can do, we've seen it. And Josh is playing as the 6. Or, don't have to do that. You could go slightly different. We'll put Big Eve back in. We'll take Randall out. And here you are. Oh, I'll tell you what. Hang on. What I'm suggesting anyway is Conway moves inside, right? And then you'd have the left-sided midfielder. We'll briefly put Randall back in for a sec. You have the left-sided midfielder, which is normally Big Eve, but I've put Josh in here, and he can push forward, right? And let's just say it's like this, yeah. Well, why wouldn't that work? Someone tell me. If you can offer up a suggestion, please let me know. Give me a tweet. But Conway's moving a lot less than he would be if he was moving up here, and he is absolutely quality. And I've been saying it every week, to be honest, and I'm not on my own in that, obviously, because he is brilliant. But he created the most chances. This is all from the Blackpool game. He completed the most dribbles. He was the most foul player on the pitch. He won the most duels. He's a very well-rounded footballer. So use his skills for the benefit of the team. Stop just chucking him on left wing as a backup to blooming Sissoko, who, when he can't get past his man, he just passes it back to him. Why not bring him inside a bit and let him create a bit more? Let him dribble a bit more. Let him win more fouls. Because if you can't break someone down, winning a free kick on the edge of the box, that'll do, won't it? Put it in. Yeah, anyway. I could go on about these issues for quite some time, as we have done on different reviews and previews in the past. But, as I've said before, it's the same sort of issues. There's not enough movement. You've got to learn to break someone down. And that has got to be the focus in training for the next couple of weeks. I'll tell you that for free. Anyway, I'll let you enjoy the rest of the show. And I'm sure I will see you very soon. Goodbye.
Statman, wonderful as ever, makes football seem absolutely just so simple. And that is what we have him on board for. The Statman is exceptional. But somebody else that is an exceptional member of the Fanzone team. For those of you who've been keeping a little eye on our socials recently, for those of you who haven't, they're at the bottom of the screen. And if you haven't, what are you doing? Our socials have taken a step up recently, and that is thanks to one man. Well, mainly down to one man, Jordan. You will have seen in the chat. I will try and pull up one of his comments. I think he's been in here this evening, but Jordan has been giving us a little hand with some graphics and some social content, and he's been exceptional. So our Fanzone Man of the Match graphics are played for both that you might have seen this week. How long it had been since we won at Bloomfield Road. It was also courtesy of Jordan's skills. And so we've been very, very thankful to have Jordan joining us and taking on a little bit of graphics work with us. So it's just worth mentioning. A little cheeky plug for the socials as well. If you haven't checked them out, then go and have a nosy. But
very valued member of the team, Jordan.
Absolutely.
Absolutely phenomenal work that he's been producing them graphics in recent weeks. So yeah, do give him a like when you see the post, because they've all been created by him, and he deserves it. Top lad. They have done,
and as Colin said, he's been doing some exceptional work, and so go and give him a follow as well, and go and like some of the stuff that he's putting out as well. Before we round off this evening's episode, it is of course time for Fan Focus. So we will we'll play the mid roll, and actually we'll do 3 up, 3 down first. We'll fly through this one.
You're rusty tonight,
all over the place.
We all over the shop.
3 up, 3 down. Our new segment this season, and my first time doing it. So let's get cracking. Right, 3 up, 3 down in the chat. Can we please have your 3 positives? We'll start on the positives and we'll finish on the negatives. But 3 up, 3 down is 3 positives, 3 negatives from this week's match. So get them in the chat as we go along. We'll start with the 3 positives. And Ben, we will hand over to you first. Can we please have your 3 bullet point standouts from our fixture against Blackpool on Saturday?
Yeah, I would start off. My first positive was instead of going into the quite rubbish place, which is Blackpool, we stopped at a pub about 15 minutes before, which is a lovely little countryside pub. Game of cricket on over the road as well. Nice couple of pints in there. Bit of like an old type pub vibe. No TVs. Nice little cozy. Yeah.
Sorry, Ben, did you say 50 minutes away? Then,
No, 15. 15.
Oh, so 50 minutes would make more sense, really, to be fair.
No, 15 minutes away. So that's number 1.
I've never heard anything more Colin Yates in all my life, by the way.
Why, what? I don't know what you mean.
A nice little countryside pub with no TVs. I have never heard anything that I could attribute to something that you would say more. Ever.
Well, that is what we need, isn't it? We all need to talk more and speak to each other more, don't we?
Exhibit A, the Fanzone Podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Are we doing 3 each? Yeah.
Yes,
No.
3 each.
3 each?
3 each.
We can do 1 each. I'd prepared 3 in my notes. Just being unprepared and.
I think because you've not done this before. We have been doing 1 each, and that of each, and that comes to 3. Ben,
I will happily
save them 2 for next week and just change it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can imagine they'll probably both be the same. To be fair.
Right. So there's my 1 positive. Who wants to?
I'll go next. I'll go next. My 1 positive from yesterday is that before the game, it was forecast to be raining, so I was half expecting to get absolutely wet through walking to Bloomfield Road, and I didn't. So I'm looking at it as a positive, which was lucky because I didn't take a coat, even though I was fully aware of the fact that it was supposed to be raining. But yeah, that's my positive. Look at that.
Okay. I was under the impression these were going to be related to the actual game.
See, all Ben's doing now, everybody, is all he's doing is highlighting that he doesn't listen back to the episodes that we've done.
When he's not on it. He's not bothered. Yeah.
I must confess, I don't listen back to our episodes. I must confess. Okay. My positive from Blackpool post-match. It was that we limited Blackpool to very, very few. Well, according to the stats, they had no big chances. I would argue that their goal was a big chance, albeit a bit scabby. But my positive was that we limited Blackpool to very, very few big chances, which is a positive for me.
Sorry, Ben. I just like the hashtag. I apologise for laughing. Three down. Shall we move on to 3 down, Ben?
Yeah, I suppose we better add.
Can mine be Ben this episode?
Yes, it certainly can. Excellent. Really, really good. My down is playing Blackpool in Blackpool, and I wish we could play them somewhere else.
Get off it. You cannot have as your negative for a fixture playing
My
Blackpool.
negative is Blackpool. Yeah,
Blackpool's
perfect.
a place. Yeah.
Just Blackpool, yeah. Come on, Ben. Think on your feet, mate.
No, my actual negative would be the offside flag going up after 20 seconds of thinking we'd won it with 5 minutes to go.
It's very poor from Gale, isn't it? It's very poor from Gale.
It is very poor from Gale.
He's beginning to. I don't feel a bit harsh saying this, but he's beginning to grind on me a little bit.
Yeah,
his body language, and he seems to be like a little bit not very committed to the cause at this moment in time. I don't know whether it's just.
I think I said in the chat last night he's just extremely raw.
Yeah.
And say sometimes he'll dribble past 3 players and look like the best player on the pitch. Sometimes he'll like it's his first time playing a professional football game. But
that instance yesterday stummed him up a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, had a couple of those moments yesterday, didn't he? I mean, there was one again in when he switched over to the right hand side, where he just tried to play a ball back to our centre halves and completely miscued it and set them on a counter attack. And then obviously the offside goal stood in front of the keeper was just a bit, not really all there in the brain to get back.
But then there was an instance where, like, the one thing I didn't think that we would get from him early doors is committed from a defensively, but defensively he seems pretty switched on. There was an instance where, like, he used his pace as advantage, where he managed to kind of get back and win the ball back and play it comfortably back to the goalkeeper. So he's a bit of an enigma, isn't he, in a way? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, he's quite
getting on my nerves a little bit, though. I don't know why, but he is. He's that laid back. He's almost horizontal, isn't he? Let's be honest. You know what I mean? He is, isn't he? You can tell, like, he's probably... Obviously, it's culturally, I would suspect, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. But
I think he's the ultimate. If there was one player that it was give him time and see where he is in sort of 15, 20 games time, I think he is the one most attributed to that, to be honest. I think 100%. He's got so much adaptation to do to get used to playing over here and for us. So yeah, it's one of them. At the minute, I'm frustrated with him, but I mean, end of the day, he kind of created the goal, kind of cutting in and having a shot from nowhere.
He absolutely did.
That ricocheted through to Burst, though. So yeah, it's one of them. But yeah,
come on, Ben, you've had plenty of time to think now. Come on, pal.
I have. Actually, this one hasn't changed because none of you have said it yet, and I've only seen it sort of alluded to in the comments. My negative. I'm not going to go too much into this. I'm not going to dig anybody out. I'm not going to, start calling people names. My negative from this game is stepovers, and I would politely ask for them to be removed from every single football match going forward, because if I see one more step over, I'm going to step over my own fucking head.
Ooh. He's just F-bombed. We are not that podcast, just to disclaim everybody.
And it's usually him saying we shouldn't do it as well.
And we're not even past 9 o'clock either yet, so that is horrendous. People listen this back through the televisions, and there might be kids in the room, so that is not good form, Ben.
Just, if I can make a polite request to anybody that might be listening at Bolton Wanderers Football Club, please, for the love of me, just start finding people if they even think about doing a step over. If somebody even talks about doing them, just get them fined. 1 week's wages. Yes, Jordan, thank you.
The audio listeners, Jordan's just put in the chat. Report that to HR. Oh wait, because as we've referenced before, Ben is HR over it.
Ben is HR. Ben is the one that always tells, say us off, me off for being so-called inappropriate. Yeah, when we go live in front of 181 people, he's the one that's swearing. So make of that what you will.
Anyway, my negative is stepovers, and I will hope to God that I never have to come on another episode and play 3 up, 3 down. Just that, and have to reference stepovers.
You're not on your own, Ben. To be fair,
mate. Right. We are going to do one more segment now before we round off this evening's episode. I haven't missed anything else out. It is Fanzone Fan Focus, and we have made a point of starring some of your comments as we go through. But if you have anything that has come up and perhaps you would like to ask us or get us to discuss, then this is the time to do it. It is Fanzone Fan Focus. Now, Jimmy, I do know how
Ben. Sorry. I just want to reference something that's driving me insane from the beginning of the podcast when we play that video. Whilst we're encouraging people to do us a favour and put comments in the chat, ask questions, all that good stuff, can we please encourage people to send us coverage of the experiences at a match day? We want to use your videos at the start of the podcast and create a fan video for our intro. I'm sick to death of seeing the Liverpool fan that is Aaron Collins playing against Arsenal when we got absolutely hammered. So please do me a favour as much as anybody else and send some videos to us of you in the stands. Sorry.
It's funny because I have some of my own from this season and seasons gone by. I've actually deliberately left that in there just because I know it winds Colin up.
Oh, God,
So yeah, please do send them through. Just send us a little DM on Twitter.
You know what? Right? One of the biggest things that annoys me about that goal that Aaron Collins scored last season was like your face. What were we 4-0 down or 3-0 down? We'd not touched the ball for about 20 minutes. Yeah. In your face, Ben, when I was like in a sweet shop, like you were absolutely ecstatic, and we were getting absolutely hammered. That's one of the biggest things that annoys me about that game. Goal, video. Sorry, can we move on?
That's all right. We can. Have you got anything else you'd like to get off your chest?
Jakey's right. Jakey146 having a nightmare here, Ben.
To be fair, you know what? We have seen episodes that have turned into nightmares. I think we're a little way off that happening yet. There's been some really rogue episodes of the Fanzone podcast. I don't think we're quite.
I think he's talking specifically about you, though, Ben. I think that's where.
Oh, me and Cole have been great. I think. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Fair enough, fellas. Yeah, nice one. I love doing this show. It's honestly, I'm so glad I tuned in.
60 preview.
Yeah, well. Right, fan focus. Let's get your comments in the chat. Ideally, nothing about me would be excellent. But we've had one from, we've got 3 from Brandon, actually. We did have one from Leslie, but we addressed that earlier. How long do we keep the faith before it becomes too late? This is a difficult one because for me, I don't think it's not like you wait 12 games and then if we've not got X points, you sack him. It's all, there's so many variables, isn't there? You know, if we're having this conversation that we've had this episode in 10 games, you know, by the time we reach 10 games, then you start sort of asking questions. But if the performances are still good and there's been perhaps a couple of more wins in there, then it leaves a little bit of credit in the bank. Carl, what can you answer that question, do you think?
Yeah, meh. There we are. That's when I'll lose faith. If we're outside the playoffs, there's an absolute bare minimum come May, then we need to have a serious conversation. But as Dan rightly said, faith ? It's August.
Yeah,
and he's absolutely spot on. So if we're like I said, if we don't get anywhere near, if we're not in the top 6 come May, and I think even like scraping 6th or 5th would be a pretty poor season if you ask me, with the caliber of players on paper that we're signing. I'll come back to us in May, and then we'll have a conversation there.
Yeah, I think we forget how long a season is, and I mean, if you just look at last season, the 2 playoff finalists were Charlton and Leyton Orient, who Charlton, I remember they played us. It was the game that ever got sacked, actually. They played us, beat us 2-1, and they were absolutely terrible for 75 minutes and then fluked 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. And at that point, I think they were 10th before they played us in, January. So, and then they went on to go and win the playoffs. Leyton Orient were in the bottom 4 still in November, December, I'm pretty sure. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And then obviously went on a brilliant run towards the end of the season, got to the playoff final. So, mate, the season's so long. As long as we're still,
games left, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. So many points up for grabs. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm as frustrated as everyone else walking away from the game. Our last 4 games in particular, thinking, how the hell have we not won that? Well, they were rubbish. How have we not beat them? But still, like there's so much time to go. Like, I'm so far off of questioning Schumacher and the direction we're going in.
It's good to know that I mean, all 3 of us are in the same boat on that, and it seems like a lot of people in the chat are as well. Admittedly, it can be very easy to go on Twitter and convince yourself that the majority of the fan base are represented by those few in the replies to Bolton, officially Bolton Wanderers Football Club.
It's never the yardstick and should never be the yardstick. That platform should just be used as pure entertainment, nothing else.
Yeah,
you can't take anything literal from that, and that's coming from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
honestly.
One thing. Can we completely just? if you ever see it, just completely ignore it. Is the stat of is it 3 wins in 16, 17 games or whatever it is? The end of last season means absolutely nothing.
Not least because it was a different season, but because there are down 13 new players.
A whole different squad. It was a squad that he didn't even assemble himself, and the season was gone by that point. It was absolutely completely irrelevant to where we are right now. I mean, if you want to beat him with a stick, it's 1 win in 60 season. Use that, but. Look, I mean, yeah, it's kind of doing me.
To give you a bit of an idea, and this is apparently this is true. It's not concrete. But to give you a bit of an idea of the players that Shuey inherited, Dan Lundaloo supposedly had an opportunity to leave. This summer, and he's decided supposedly to stay in the B team. Because he's on more money than he would have been at the club that he were going to. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the players that he inherited. So yeah, Ben's absolutely right. If you see stats like that, poo-poo it, as they say.
Yeah.
And that's all supposedly. It's not factually correct.
Allegedly. We've had another one from Dan, and he said, out of the 6 goals conceded, how many are Teddy's fault? 3, possibly 4. Distribution is superb, but shot stopping is questionable. Yesterday, again, should have saved it. It's difficult. I think as we are hardwired as humans to try and find a reason for things happening. So when we aren't winning football matches, it is our natural response is to go, well, why aren't we? It is because of X or Y or Z. And because everything else seems to be going so well and there isn't much fault to be distributed, it's really easy to look at Sharman Lowe and go, yeah, you're the reason we're losing football matches, or we're where we are. I think we just need to be a little bit patient on this one. I think that the goals that he's conceded, that the one against Blackpool, it took a deflection on its way in. Toll was stood right in front of the attacker. Was it Toll? I don't know who it was.
No,
Someone was stood right in front of the attacker. It was really difficult for Sharman Lowe to see it probably in the first instance, and it came at him at his near post pretty quickly after sort of cutting off the edge of Toll's boot. The one against Reading, same. It took a massive deflection. Yes, possibly he could have done better with some of them, but I think we should reserve judgment at least for a little bit, in my opinion. Cole, what do you think?
I think he's a very talented goalkeeper. I think the fact that Chelsea have given him a substantial contract, probably just so they can sell him on to a club in the top half of the Championship when the time's right, but still, if Chelsea given a contract like that to a young kid like him, then obviously it's all. I think the reason why he's in League One is because he's not perfect. And same as Traff, he wasn't perfect. And we won't be getting goalkeepers that are complete in League One. So, as Ben rightly said, we just got to ride it out and allow him to grow and improve with us, hopefully, in the Championship next season, because supposedly there's an option if we are to get promoted. Because I think he's got all the minerals to be a top goalkeeper. I don't even know what foot he is, whether he's left or right. So that says it all, doesn't it, really? Although the main part of being a goalkeeper is stopping shots. I appreciate that as well at the same time.
Yeah, that's the thing. The whole rest of his game can't really be questioned. I don't think his distribution, his cross-claiming, his sweeping has been pretty much perfect, to be honest. There's question marks over his shot stopping, but I mean, what we've conceded 6 goals this season. The 2 at Stockport had no chance. It was a header from a corner from 5 yards out and a deflection. The one against Barnsley is probably the one you look at him most, getting beaten at his near post. And as you say, the one against Reading is a deflected shot that loops into the top corner. No chance for that. The one against Lincoln is a header from 8 yards out, which goes down the middle of the goal. But I mean, 8 yards out with the power on it. I don't know how much better you expect from that. And then, the one on Saturday was just like, I don't know how much more unlucky you can get. It's a deflection onto the post, onto his back. I mean, I saw a comment before, I can't remember who it was, saying, he should have his near post covered. I mean, he did. It hit the post, and it's just unluckily spun away and hit him on the back and gone in the back of the net. It's one of them when when everything's going against you, then that type of stuff kind of happens. And
who else? Sorry, Ben. Who else laughed when that went in? Because I did.
Oh, mate, yeah, I did. I kind of just turned around and went, mate, how, what else has to happen? What's going to happen next week? An even more ridiculous goal that we concede. I don't know. But and what has maybe not really helped his case is we've barely allowed any other shots on target the whole rest of the season. I mean, I think it's 11 shots on target we've conceded and 6 have gone in. So the other 5 have been relatively simple saves. There was one yesterday he did okay with when Dale Taylor cut inside on his left foot, shot towards the far post, and he did well with that. He's basically not had a chance to make a good save or to come up with a big save, apart from the goals that have gone in, which have been pretty hard to stop or pretty unlucky. So, well, I mean, to me, it's one of them. I think there's basically no evidence to suggest he's great or he's rubbish at shot stopping.
Yeah.
We'll see in probably 10 games time.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing is to try and not reach a final conclusion just yet. Yeah. Ultimately, I think if we'd have won the games that we're talking about that we've drawn, and no one's questioning his shot stopping. If he'd have conceded those goals, but we'd have won the games, no one's bothered that those have gone in.
Absolutely nailed it there.
But because we have been drawing, we're like I said, we're hardwired to find a rationale for it.
You've redeemed yourself a little bit with that comment, Ben, after tonight's shambles.
Well, thank you very much. I will leave the hosting to you next time, Cole. You can take the reins for a change.
It's what everybody wants, man.
Right.
In my head, anyway.
that does round off this evening's episode. Thank you all. The live chat has been really busy this evening. It's been fantastic to see so many of you. Channel members, of course, a very, very big thank you to you. You have been exceptional. And thank you very much for tuning in. And we will see you all very shortly. Stay tuned. Keep an eye on our socials, not just to see Jordan's fancy graphics, but to find out when your next podcasts are. And if you aren't subscribed, I don't know what you're doing, but you should be. So press the little subscription button, press the bell, and you'll be notified every time the Fanzone podcast goes live.
Is it worth mentioning about the Patreon/YouTube membership thing, Ben, whilst you're talking about subscriptions and
Yes, probably. Our first Patreon special has been released. It is a nice little Q&A. It is quite funny. We did some hot takes on different things, sort of pop culture, if you will, and British culture, and then we also did some football related ones as well, and there were some very funny conversations that came out of that episode. So if you would like to head over to Patreon, and you can choose, there are 3 pricing structures depending on how cool you want to be, so you can choose which subscription best meets your needs, and you will get access to different benefits based on that. YouTube channel members, you can either choose to stay a YouTube channel member, or you can move over to Patreon. The difference is really that this won't happen automatically. This has to be done by you guys because they are 2 different platforms. Patreon is sort of more access to extra content. The YouTube stuff is things that you can do within the podcast episode. So you've all got who's going to be the first one to show me an emoji of someone's face. You've all got access to those. You get little badges next to your name. Your names are highlighted in the live chat so we can see your comments. So it's entirely up to you whether you would like to choose one or the other or both. But yeah, that's...
Can I just clarify as well, in terms of what you do to support the podcast with the small kind of monthly donation that you pay, it goes straight back into the podcast as well. Don't be thinking like we're getting any kind of wage from this, because believe you, we are not. The whole idea is to allow us to grow the podcast. So we bought equipment, for example, to allow us to do kind of like video vlogs for away games, and a gimbal that Ben's really good at using. Mics to allow us to do the instant reactions outside the club shop on a Saturday. There's loads of bits and pieces that we're doing to try and grow the product. It's certainly not the aim of the game isn't to do what I've just said and generate an income from it, because we won't be doing that until we get back into the Prem. Let's be honest.
Indeed, yes. All of the money that we receive goes straight back into providing you with better, more engaging, and more exciting content. And that is our ethos. That is what we're all about. So until the next time, you've been watching the Fanzone podcast. It has been a pleasure to have you all with us this evening. Take care. We will see you in the next one, which will be your preview show on Thursday evening. But until then, take care, and we will see you all soon.
Ta-ra.